Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about on 30 minutes for the next 30 years of your life rewarded for slowing down and asking, does this matter in the long run? Is this building anything? Urgency is addictive. It gives us a quick hit of relevance. It creates the illusion of momentum. But legacy is different. Legacy doesn't shout. It whispers. It asks for patience, for intention, for vision. Legacy doesn't care about your inbox. It cares about your impact. And that's the tension we live with, the battle between the noise of now and the echo of forever. When you wake up in the morning and grab your phone before you even breathe deeply, what are you saying to your life? That you are at the mercy of the world's chaos. That your value is determined by how fast you can respond to someone else's to-do list. What if instead you claimed those first moments of the day not for tasks but for clarity? Choosing legacy over urgency means zooming out. It means lifting your head from the crowded, buzzing to-do list and asking a more profound question. What will this decision look like when I'm 70? Or 80? What will my grandchildren remember me for? Will they even know what I was so stressed about in 2025? Or will they remember how I showed up, what I built, who I became? Legacy requires courage because it asks you to say no to things that everyone else is saying yes to. It demands that you value depth over speed, significance over popularity, alignment over applause. It's not glamorous at first, it's quiet. It's the choice to spend a Saturday learning instead of scrolling. The choice to invest in a relationship that no one else sees but that matters deeply. The choice to let someone else be first so you can be true to yourself. In choosing legacy, you also begin to reclaim your time. You realize that not everything urgent is important, and that not everything important feels urgent. Some of the most critical choices in your life won't come with a deadline. There won't be a notification. No one will remind you. No one will chase you. It'll be just you standing in a quiet moment faced with a choice that won't matter tomorrow but will shape the next decade. When urgency rules, we're just reacting. When legacy leads, we start creating. That's the difference between being busy and being intentional. Urgency asks, what can I get done today? Legacy asks, what am I building that will still stand tomorrow? One is about completing tasks, the other is about constructing a life. Most people won't understand when you begin choosing legacy. They'll say you're moving too slowly, that you're overthinking, that you're missing out. But legacy is never built for the crowd. It's built for the few who are willing to be misunderstood today so they can be remembered with gratitude tomorrow. There is a quiet strength in resisting the pull of urgency. It's the strength to delay gratification, to stay focused on your values, to keep building even when no one is clapping yet. Especially when no one is clapping yet, because legacy isn't made in the spotlight. It's made in the shadows, in the daily choices no one sees, in the integrity you hold when it would be easier to compromise, in the moments you choose purpose over pressure. Choosing legacy means making peace with the idea that your biggest impact may take years to be felt. And that's okay. Because the greatest things in life are not rushed, they're rooted. They're cultivated over time. They're planted with love, watered with sacrifice, and grown through consistency. We are living in an age obsessed with speed. Everything is about how fast you can deliver, how quickly you can respond, how rapidly you can grow. We celebrate velocity like it's the ultimate virtue. Faster is better is the mantra echoed in boardrooms, classrooms, and social feeds. And yet, speed without direction is like a race car with no map. It looks impressive, but no one knows where it's going, including the driver. We see people moving fast and we assume they're making progress. We see calendars full of meetings, inboxes flooded with emails, social media bursting with updates, and we confuse activity for achievement. But the truth is, motion is not meaning. Pace does not equal purpose. You can be sprinting with all your energy and still be going in the wrong direction. There's something deeply unsettling about waking up one day to realize you've been climbing the wrong mountain. That all your effort, your hustle, your late nights, and early mornings got you to a place you never truly wanted to be. But that's what happens when we prioritize speed over clarity. We move because it feels good to move. We chase results because it feels like we're winning. But when winning what? At what cost? Direction demands something that speed resists: patience. To know where you truly want to go, you have to pause. You have to step back. You have to listen not to the world, but to yourself. What matters to you? What does success actually look like on your terms, not someone else's? These questions take time, and they rarely come with instant answers. But they're the compass you need before you take another step. When you find your direction, something powerful shifts. You no longer need to compare your pace to anyone else's. The pressure to keep up, to be first, to be loudest, it fades, because you're not racing against anyone anymore. You're moving in alignment with your values, your vision, your path. And on that path, slow progress is still progress. In fact, it's often the most sustainable kind. There's a kind of confidence that comes with knowing your direction. Not arrogance, but groundedness. A quiet knowing that every step, no matter how small, is taking you closer to a destination that matters. It allows you to say no to distractions, to opportunities that aren't aligned, to shortcuts that promise speed but sacrifice soul. Because once you've found your direction, not everything deserves your energy. Not everything is worth the detour. Speed is seductive because it gives you the illusion of control, but it often comes with a cost. Burnout, regret, emptiness, direction, on the other hand, gives you something deeper. It gives you purpose. It gives you endurance. It gives you the ability to keep going even when the results aren't instant, because you know why you're going. That why becomes your fuel, your anchor, your guide. Many people waste years running fast in circles. They achieve milestones they don't care about, build careers they never intended, accumulate accolades that feel hollow. And all because they never stopped to ask where they were going in the first place. They let speed set the agenda instead of letting purpose lead the way. But when you choose direction, you reclaim your life. You choose to move intentionally rather than reactively. You choose to build rather than chase. And maybe the world won't notice right away. Maybe it won't be flashy or viral or instantly impressive. But it will be real. It will be true. And most importantly, it will be yours. Direction doesn't always come in a thunderclap. Sometimes it arrives quietly through reflection, through listening, through trial and error. But once it reveals itself, you begin to see everything differently. You begin to realize that every decision, every moment, every relationship either brings you closer to your true path or pulls you further away. And with that awareness comes power, the power to choose, to align, to move with purpose instead of pressure. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that life is a race, that there's a finish line we're all sprinting toward. And if we're not ahead by a certain age, we've already lost. That if we're not married by 30, not successful by 35, not fulfilled by 40, then we've fallen behind. Behind who? Behind what? Behind a timeline we never agreed to but feel pressured to follow. This idea that we're behind is one of the most damaging illusions we carry. It creeps into our thoughts in quiet moments. It shows up when we compare ourselves to others. It whispers that we've missed the window, that our best chance already passed, that someone else is living the life we should have had. But the truth is, you're not late. You're not off track. You're not behind. You're simply on your own timeline. And the moment you begin to honor that, everything changes. No one talks about how long it takes some people to simply figure out what they care about. Some people don't find their calling until their 40s. Some don't step into their confidence until their 50s. Some don't start over until they've lost everything. And yet, when they finally do, it's real. It's solid. Because it's rooted in truth, not pressure. You are not behind if your journey looks different. You're not behind if you didn't take the traditional route. You're not behind if your story has had detours, false starts, breakdowns, or long pauses. You're human. You're growing. And sometimes growth doesn't look like forward movement. Sometimes it looks like stillness, reflection, healing. That's not failure, that's preparation. We have to stop measuring our lives with someone else's ruler. Just because someone else got there faster doesn't mean they're more fulfilled. Just because they hit the milestone earlier doesn't mean they're happier. Life isn't a checklist. It's not about how soon you can do things, but how fully you can live them. A rushed success is hollow. A patient success is deep. Think about nature. No flower blooms year-round. No tree grows straight up without bends and breaks. The most powerful forces in the world move slowly, steadily, with intention. You. We're never meant to bloom in every season. Some seasons are for planting. Some are for waiting. Some are for healing. And some are for rising, but all of them are part of the process. None of them are wasted. You are not defined by how quickly you achieve something. You are defined by how deeply you live your truth. There's no expiration date on becoming who you were meant to be. If you're still here, then your story is still being written. If you're still breathing, you still have time to begin again. The path doesn't close just because it's taken longer than you thought. And yet we often torture ourselves with comparison. We scroll through other people's highlights and wonder why we're not further ahead. But we forget that we're looking at their peak moments while living through our behind the scenes. We don't see their doubts, their sacrifices, their silent struggles. We only see the polished result. And then we punish ourselves for not matching it. There's power in accepting your own timeline, in trusting that what's meant for you will not pass you by, even if it arrives later than expected. In knowing that your pace is not wrong just because it doesn't match someone else's. The people who matter won't love you less for being a late bloomer, and the life that's meant for you won't require you to rush. It takes a lot of strength to resist the pressure to perform on command, to look around at the noise of everyone else moving fast and still choose to stay rooted in your own pace. But that's where true freedom lies, not in the race to catch up, but in the choice to align with your own rhythm, to build with intention, and to embrace the idea that there is no behind when you're becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. We've been sold a vision of success that's polished, filtered, and curated for applause. It's the big house, the impressive title, the corner office, the six-figure income, the viral post, the highlight reel. We've been told that if we can just achieve enough, earn enough, impress enough, then we'll feel something permanent. That success, once reached, will finally quiet the noise inside. But what if it doesn't? What if you get everything you thought you wanted and still feel like something's missing? There's a kind of emptiness that success alone cannot fill. You can achieve all your external goals and still feel disconnected, numb, tired, alone. Because success in itself is not the destination. Fulfillment is. And the two are not always the same. In fact, they can be dangerously far apart. One is visible. The other is invisible. One is measured by others. The other is felt deeply within yourself. You see it often in people who seem to have everything. They check all the boxes. They climb the ladder. They reach the peak. And then they quietly break down. Not because they weren't strong or capable or hardworking, but because they never stopped to ask, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? And does this even matter to me? When you chase success without understanding what fulfills you, you build a life that looks good from the outside but feels hollow on the inside. You spend years building a version of yourself that earns admiration, but not peace. You become fluent in performance but forget the sound of your own truth. You win applause but lose alignment. Fulfillment doesn't come from the trophies. It comes from the meaning behind them. It comes from living in a way that's consistent with your values. It comes from doing work that lights something up inside you, not just something that pays well or looks impressive. It comes from relationships that are real, moments that are present, decisions that are rooted in something deeper than ego. Success is when people say you've made it. Fulfillment is when you believe it. And sometimes that means walking away from things that once impressed you. It means trading what's expected for what's honest. It means letting go of chasing what everyone else wants so you can hold on to what you truly need. That's not giving up, that's growing up. There are people who are wildly successful by society's standards, but they wake up anxious every day. They dread their own calendar. They feel like imposters in their own lives. And there are others who live with less, achieve less in conventional terms, but wake up with peace, with joy, with purpose. The difference isn't status, it's fulfillment. It's the difference between living a life you tolerate and living a life you love. Fulfillment isn't passive. It doesn't just happen when the stars align. It's a decision, a pursuit, a practice. It requires paying attention to your soul, not just your schedule. It requires making space for what matters time with people you love. Work that gives you a sense of contribution, moments of stillness where you can actually hear yourself think. It's in the things that are easy to overlook when you're chasing the next big thing. Sometimes fulfillment looks like slowing down, saying no to opportunities that look good on paper but feel wrong in your gut. Choosing meaning over money, depth over speed, real over perfect. These choices don't always make sense to others. They might not earn likes or applause, but they build a kind of success that can't be taken away. One that stays with you when the lights go off and the room is quiet. There's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with wanting to achieve, to grow, to excel. But the danger is in believing that achievement alone will complete you. It won't. It never has. It's only when your success is aligned with your heart, your purpose, your truth, that it becomes something more than just a win. It becomes a life worth waking up for, a life that feeds you, not just your resume. In a world obsessed with intensity, consistency is often overlooked. We're drawn to the dramatic, the sudden transformation, the breakthrough moment, the all-in gesture. We admire the person who goes from 0 to 100 overnight, who makes a bold leap, who burns the boats and charges ahead with fire in their eyes. But what really changes a life isn't a single moment of brilliance. It's the quiet discipline of showing up again and again, especially when no one is watching. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't get instant applause. But it is the foundation of greatness. It is the muscle behind every meaningful transformation. Anyone can be motivated for a day. Anyone can crush a week. But the people who change the world, who build legacies, who live deeply fulfilled lives, they are the ones who learn the art of repeating the small things daily with intention. It's easy to be inspired when things are exciting. It's easy to take action when the path is clear and the results are visible. But what about the days when it feels pointless, when the progress is invisible? When the effort feels like it's disappearing into a void? That's when consistency reveals its true power. Because it's not about how you feel, it's about who you're becoming. Every time you choose to show up despite doubt, despite fatigue, despite distraction, you send a signal to yourself, I am committed. I'm not just here for the results, I'm here for to go hard for a week, to overhaul everything, to grind and push until we collapse. But consistency is what turns sparks into fire. Without consistency, even the best ideas die in silence. Even the strongest starts fade into nothing. Momentum doesn't come from intensity, it comes from repetition. Becoming a master of consistency means falling in love with the process. It means finding meaning in the daily reps, the quiet rituals, the small wins. It means measuring success not just by what you accomplish, but by how often you keep your word to yourself. That kind of integrity builds confidence. Every time you follow through, even in the smallest way, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And trust in yourself is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have perfect days or perfect routines or perfect focus. You just need to return again and again. You can fall off track, but you don't. Quit, you can get distracted, but you come back. You miss one day, maybe two, but then you show up again, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. That's what separates professionals from dabblers. It's not talent, it's not luck. It's consistency. The ability to recommit, to recalibrate, to re-engage with your purpose regardless of your mood. And when you do that enough times, you start to create results that compound in ways intensity never could. You build habits that carry you through setbacks. You create a foundation strong enough to weather any storm. And eventually people call you disciplined, focused, successful, but what they're really seeing is the quiet power of consistency mastered over time. We often imagine the future as something distant, shaped by grand plans and long timelines. We think of it as something that arrives after years of hustle, hard work, or careful strategy. But the truth is more intimate than that. The future doesn't show up all at once. It arrives minute by minute, choice by choice, moment by moment. It's not some abstract destination we get to later. It's being formed in the smallest decisions we make right now. It's easy to romanticize the big turning points, the job offer, the move to a new city, the big yes or the dramatic no, but what truly defines who you become isn't always wrapped in drama. It's in the mundane. It's in what you do when no one's looking. It's in how you use those pockets of time that seem inconsequential, but are actually where your life is being shaped. 5 minutes of intention today can carry more weight than 5 years of drifting without it. That's the paradox of time. We overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what 5 consistent minutes can do every day for a month. We wait for the right time, the perfect conditions, the ideal inspiration, but the future doesn't wait. It's built in real time. And most of the time we're building it on autopilot. Our habits, our routines, our unconscious thoughts, they're laying bricks for the life that's there. You don't need to wait for a new year, a new job, a fresh start. You need a few quiet minutes of courage. Minutes where you decide to do something different. Minutes where you choose to interrupt a pattern. Speak up, write one sentence, make one call, take one walk, ask one question. That's how momentum is born. Not from sweeping life changes, but from micro acts of alignment that accumulate into something extraordinary. You think about the moments you've made real progress in your life. Chances are they didn't start with giant leaps. They started with minutes. A minute where you finally admitted the truth to yourself. A minute where you turned off the noise and listened inward. A minute where you chose growth over comfort, even when it scared you. That minute becomes the seed. Watered with consistency, it turns into transformation. We underestimate the power of right now. We live as if the minutes don't matter, as if real change only comes later. But what you do today will echo into every tomorrow. Your mindset today will shape how you interpret the events of next week. Your discipline today will decide your freedom a year from now. Your willingness to be honest in this moment will influence every relationship you carry forward. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about reclaiming ownership over the time that's already yours. The present moment is the only place where change ever actually happens. Not yesterday, not someday. Now, and yet we waste it waiting for clarity that only comes through action. We wait for motivation that only arrives once we begin. We delay our own progress because we think it has to be epic to be effective. But 1 minute of focused action is worth more than a week of good intentions. 1 minute of courage is worth more than a year of hesitation. 1 minute of choosing who you really want to be over who you've been conditioned to be, that minute has the power to change everything. Your future isn't something far off in the distance. It's close. It's being written with every decision you make about how you show up in this moment. And when you truly grasp that, you stop giving your minutes away to distractions, to doubt, to people who don't value your time or your truth. You start protecting your time like the sacred currency it is, because you realize that every minute well spent is a down payment on the life you actually want to live.